Have you ever felt like you're just playing a character in your own life? Well, this is a story about what happens when you stop reading the script and start redesigning your entire world to fit who you really are. It's about finding your power, not in the noise, but in the quiet. Let's dive in.
So it all starts with this one simple feeling. You wake up and you're alone. Now, is that feeling peaceful, or does it feel like a problem you need to solve? For the longest time, I honestly didn't have an answer for that.
I just knew that this right here was my own personal version of hell. The loud party, the endless small talk, and that feeling, of being an actor on a stage, just performing the role of fun, outgoing person. I was physically there, but my mind was a million miles away, just counting down the seconds until I could finally escape.
And the burnout, man, it was so real. It's like you have this social battery inside you, and with every single meaningless conversation, you can literally feel it draining. 10%, 5%, down to 1, until you're running on absolute fumes, just trying to keep a smile plastered on your face while every system inside you is screaming for a total shutdown.
And here's the crazy part. Even when I was finally alone, I wasn't, not really. The performance just moved online. Curating the perfect life, checking for likes, endlessly scrolling through the highlight reels of everybody else. It was a different kind of loud, but man, it was just as draining.
For years, I was completely convinced that I was broken, that there was some fundamental flaw in my personality that I had to fix. I read all the self-help books, I forced myself to go out, I tried to be the person I thought everyone wanted me to be, and it just left me feeling completely and utterly exhausted.
The real change, the turning point, it began when I stopped asking, "What's wrong with me?" and I started asking this instead.
And this is where I had my first huge aha moment. It wasn't that I was antisocial, it was that my brain was just getting completely swamped with data. Every conversation, every bright light, every background noise, it was all flooding in at maximum volume, with no filter. Now what's really fascinating is that there's actual science behind this. It turns out some of us are just wired differently, with a more sensitive nervous system. We just have a lower threshold for all that sensory input. And realizing this wasn't some kind of character flaw, but just my biology? Wow, that changed absolutely everything.
Okay, so that explained the physical crowds. That made sense. But that led me to the next piece of this puzzle. Why did the digital world feel just as exhausting, even when I was completely by myself?
And then it hit me. I was still performing. I was chasing these little digital hearts, this external validation, thinking that if I just got enough of them, I'd feel whole. But it never ever worked. It was just another crowd, a digital one, and it was just as loud.
And that led to the next massive shift in my thinking, the power of internal validation. The simple, radical idea that my self-worth wasn't up for a vote. It didn't need likes or comments to exist. It was just this quiet, steady light inside of me. Choosing not to post wasn't hiding anymore. It was actually an act of confidence. This is when I really understood that privacy, it's a form of power. Deciding who gets access to your time and your energy, that is one of the biggest superpowers you can have in this noisy world. I wasn't opting out of life. I was finally taking back control of it.
And for a while, this newfound quiet became a kind of protective solitude. It was a space to heal, to recover from all the people and situations that had drained me for so long. It was about survival, but I knew deep down it had to be for something more than just that.
Which led me to the final and honestly the most important question of all. If I'm building this quiet architecture for my life, what am I actually supposed to be building inside of it?
And right there, that was the answer. I wasn't just a person who was sensitive to crowds. I was what you might call a creative loner. The quiet wasn't an escape hatch, it was my workshop. It was the absolute perfect environment for deep thinking, for coming up with new ideas, for doing my best, most meaningful work.
And that realization, it reframed everything. Solitude wasn't a lack of something, it was the fertile soil my ideas needed to actually grow. I wasn't running from the world anymore, I was building a space for my purpose in the world.
So the transformation was pretty stark. On one side, you had the person I was, constantly performing, totally drained, and feeling fundamentally broken. And on the other side, the person I became, focused, energized, and actually thriving in a world I had built specifically for my own wiring.
Look, this isn't just my story. It's a blueprint, really. Step 1 is to understand your wiring. Are you sensitive to noise and crowds? Just know how you're built.
Step 2 is to reclaim your validation. Stop looking for it out there and start finding it in here. And step 3, embrace your power. Use that quiet space to create something, not just to hide.
So this isn't just my roadmap. Think of it as a potential path for anyone who's ever felt a little out of place in our loud, chaotic world. It's about giving yourself the permission to build a life that actually finally fits you.
And that really just leaves one question for you. Are you building a quiet space to create, a space to heal, or maybe something else entirely? The real power comes when you finally give yourself a chance to ask.